And hello YouTube, this is Darkmaster491 back once again with another battle video, and of course it's been a while as usual, and I'm bringing you guys a Gen 6 battle special starring Chesnaught. So I'm going to be probably doing a few of these battle specials for some of the upcoming Pokemon in the Kalos region. So I'm going to start here with Chesnaught, and I have two special Chesnaught sets just for you guys here. And the first is going to be more of an offensive brand, while the second one is more defensive. And so, you know what, we'll just cut to the chase. We'll get to the battle, and I'll post the descriptions as to the battle sets at the end of the battle, each battle there. And yeah, I'll be detailing some of the description during the battle as well, so do enjoy. And we begin the first battle here against Kane, and I am going to lead with a Frost Rotom form while he leads with a Greninja. And my Frost Rotom here is actually Choice Scarfed, so I'm going to go for a Priority Volt Switch. Not priority, but first hitting Volt Switch, since Scarf allows me to outspeed Greninja and pretty much allow me to escape from any water attacks it might want to use, or grass, or whatever it wants to use. Hopefully not an Ice Beam, which more than likely it wouldn't use, considering it's an Ice type. But here he's going to go for a Grass Knot, which is unfortunate for him since my Chesnaught actually has a Rocky Helmet item. And as I mentioned before, this Chesnaught is actually more offensive, so it's not necessarily as defensive as it might seem to be. And my opponent here is actually going to send out a Gengar next, and it's excellent that my Chesnaught here is more offensive, since I should put Payback on it, allowing me to easily counter Gengar. Not to mention it has an ability called Bulletproof, which will essentially protect it from about all of Gengar's attacks, since Gengar has the moves that it knows are mostly ball and bomb type moves, which are pretty much blocked by a Bulletproof ability there. Very handy ability. And I have the Rocky Helmet here to kind of cause damage on any physical attacks that most of my opponents might want to use. And the set basically is Sword Dance, Hammer Arm, Payback, and Spiky Shield. Spiky Shield is mostly for scouting here, which, as my opponent here is going to actually predict that, unfortunately. So it's best used wisely, but in this case it's not really that much of a threat, considering I have a Ditto on the back anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So explaining this set here, Hammer Arm actually will cut my speed. You probably would have noticed that if he had any other Pokemon on his team. So yeah, it's going to be the end of the battle here. So I have another 3 versus 3 battle, so I'll allow you guys to exploit the set a bit further. But essentially it's a set made to counter a lot of Pokemon that have ball or bomb type moves, which is what Bulletproof does, and generally it's a more offensive version of what Chesnaught usually does, because generally what Chesnaught usually does is wall and sets up with spikes or whatever, but it can be used offensively depending on how you want to go about it. You know, not to mention if a few Gengars might have another attack to hit Chesnaught, you still might want to have something like Payback to take it out in case it has a hidden power of fire or dazzling gleam or something. But anyways, in this battle, I'm rambling a bit. I'm actually going to predict his switch with Scizor and go for Nasty Plot, considering most Scizors are not going to stand for a fire type attack more than likely. And if he had, that would be a good prediction for him, but in most cases they usually don't. I have them as a Focus Sash here, so I'm going to be able to take that pretty wisely. And finish it off with another Dark Pulse, Fire Blast, but in this generation, Steel types don't resist Dark type moves, so I don't really have much to worry about if he wants to switch back into Scizor again. So here I'm going to switch into Chesnaught, since Bullet Punch is pretty obvious here. So yeah, it's pretty much, I'm going to give you more exploitation on the Chesnaught set here. As you can see, despite that it's more offensive, I made this Chesnaught to be a bit bulky enough to take several physical attacks and retaliate with its basic attacks here. Now, as you can see here, this is a Mega Scizor, so we're about to see how much an X Scizor is going to do for that thing. It's essentially a Life Orb Scizor, but slightly less powered. I mean, you could say it's like a Life Orb Scizor without taking the Life Orb damage, or something like a Magic Guard thing going on here. I don't know. But in any case, it takes the X's fairly well. I'm going to hit it with the hammer arm to cause a considerable amount of damage. And like I said, Spiky Shield is definitely good for chipping away some damage. Although it was slightly unnecessary, but I do want to take it out with the safe Payback. Not to mention, I did forget for a second about the steel's not resisting dark, and I just wanted to play a bit safe there. But in any case, it would have worked out for the best had it resisted Payback in any case. So it's going to take it out here, and his last Pokemon is Ferrothorn, so I'm figuring the best thing to do here is just set up a Swords Dance and take it out in one turn rather than dying from the Iron Barbs that it has here. But he's actually going to make a wise play and go for the Toxic here. Not to mention another move that Chesnaught blocks off is Gyro Ball, so Ferrothorn basically can't hit it with Gyro Ball, which is another excellent case for Chesnaught. So that ability allows it to basically block a lot of moves. So it's definitely a great Pokemon, I'd say, offensively, defensively, but more of the Chesnaught fans tend to go the defensive way, so pretty much it is what you want to make of it. I'll go further into the description of this set shortly as to the EV spread and all that. But like I said, it is depending how you want to go about it. So anyways, thanks for watching these vids. I will have the description and another Chesnaught set coming up, so stay tuned. And welcome back, guys. I've been working quite hard on your video here, as you can see, adding some sound effects and all that good stuff. So anyways, we're going to get to the Chesnaught set here, which is a more physically offensive set, as you can see. This one's going to have 252 EVs in its HP, 142 effort values in attack, and 116 in its defense. So it's going to generally be a kind of a tank sweeper, you know, physically bulky enough to take good physical attacks. So yeah, it should be able to survive like a Flare Blitz and a couple other physical attacks depending on who's using them, you know, just as long as it's not like a Choice Banded Flare Blitz Pokemon or something like that. And, you know, obviously you're going to want to switch out a Brave Bird, if anything. But you have a few moves to scout, if anything. And as you can see here is the ability called Bulletproof, which will actually protect it from Ball and Bomb type moves. As you saw in the video, it actually protected it against Gengar's Sludge Bomb, which is very handy, since normally that would be super effective on Chesnaught, not to mention it's a special attack, so it doesn't really want to take too many of those, since not really as bulky on the special side. So it's definitely very handy, and it has the HP to handle the rest of the bulk if it wants to take something else like a Hidden Power Fire or whatnot. And, you know, not to mention not only that, it's going to need a few attacks to kind of retaliate back if it, you know, can counter Gengar. But generally, it does wall up any Pokemon that depends on those type moves. So that includes Gengar, Venusaur, and there's pretty much a good bucket of special sweepers that actually will be using those kind of moves. So it's very handy abilities, I mentioned. So the set here is going to be Hammer Arm, Payback, Swords Dance, and Spiky Shield. So Hammer Arm and Payback are actually meant to work hand in hand. One being, not to mention, Hammer Arm is going to be its basically stab move here, but as soon as it's used, it actually lowers the user's speed. So that works quite well hand in hand with Payback, which actually depends on you hitting after the opponent. So if you manage to do that, you actually get doubled up Payback, so that works very handily. And you have Swords Dance here to double your physical attack, so that's another great move to set up with your bulky sweeper here. And last but not least, you have Spiky Shield, which can be used for scouting, which I was going to mention before. It can be used for scouting against some pretty powerful physical attacks like Flare Blitz. You know, some cases, more or less, you're not going to be wanting to take Flare Blitzes, so that's definitely good to scout for that and switch out. And, you know, scouting for Brave Birds, U-turn, pretty much anything that physically hits you will, Spiky Shield will cause damage to it generally. And not to mention, that works hand in hand quite well with the Rocky Helmet item, which I also have on the Chesnaught, so it's kind of like a doubled up recoil against the opponent damage, so it's very good to switch in and scout and all that. So this Chesnaught actually does several jobs, not only sweeping, but scouting, and can take a few hits, so it's definitely a good Pokemon here. And it's used in a different fashion than the normal Chesnaughts that you might see out there that usually set up spikes or whatnot, so it has a few more variabilities here, and, you know, it's just something to try out. It may or may not work, but it's another version of some sort of a bulky sweeper spread. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one here, and I have one more video showing you a more bulkier version of the Chesnaught variation here. So if you guys enjoy this one, be sure to stay tuned, and I will have the description for that one as well coming up after the video. You know, Chesnaught's actions here. It's like a auto Spiky shield, you see that? Alright, so stay tuned for next video. Alright, so we got a 6 vs 6 match here, showing off my second Chesnaught set, using Heat Rotom, Chesnaught, Azumarill, Haxorus, Gengar, and Tyranitar. So we're gonna see how this goes here, and my opponent seems to have a bit of a bulky team, so I'm gonna have to set up some hazards and see how things go. Alright, check it out. And here we go. So my opponent's going to lead with Azumarill, and I'm going to lead with Heat Rotom, which is kind of a weird matchup here. And I'm actually going to predict that he's going to think that he can't kill me with Aqua. So I'm actually going to go for the trick here to catch his Chansey on the switch, which is a little risky, but that ended up paying off in the long run here. And here he's going to go for a Seismic Toss, expect me to switch into, I guess, Tyranitar or something else. I guess he was a little afraid to go for a T-Wave or Toxic, but it seemed fairly obvious I was going to switch. So pretty much he's going to switch here, and I'm going to predict that, go for Stealth Rocks, and he's going to Bullet Punch me. I was kind of expecting U-turn, but I didn't really have anything to take it, so now he's going to be a little afraid. I'm just going to go for the Overheat here, just to kind of play a little mind games later on, you know, kind of make him think that I'm going to continue on making obvious moves, and I'm going to play a little bit around that, since that's how it goes. So he's going to go for the Toxic, predicting I'm not sure what. I expected another Seismic Toss, and now I'm just going to set up some hazards here with Chesnaught, since that's what it does. Unfortunately, the Toxic is going to rack on its HP here. However, it should be able to take a good hit from Scissors, so I'm going to go for the Roar, predicting a Swords Dance, but he is going to go for U-turn and get a critical hit, taken pretty nicely considering a critical hit there. And they're going to go for the Roar here, expecting him to switch into Togekiss or something. Now, I wasn't expecting Togekiss as much to have Defog, since that's a transfer-only move. I did hear it can learn that, but I'm not sure if it can precisely transfer that on from 4th gen. But anyways, aside from that, I'm assuming it didn't have it. I'm just going to set up hazards here. And even if it does, I can just bring in Tyranitar and hit it with Ice Beam or something, or just set up another hazard. It's not too much of a threat right now. So here it's Chansey is Choice Scarf, so it can't do much. If he stays in, then he's pretty much going to die in the struggle zone at some point. So here I'm just going to hit it with Sludge Bombs to try to poison it. I did Shadow Ball earlier, as you noticed, in case he decided to switch into Scizor and, you know, try to pursue trap me or something. I don't know, since I'm not sure if I can kill it with Shadow Ball at that range. He's at a pretty high enough health. So anyways, due to Gengar's Shadow Tag ability, pretty much Chansey can't switch out, so I'm just going to keep weakening it, trying to get some special defense drops. I don't really want to waste Focus Blast, so as you can see here, it's taking a bit of time. Because, yeah, I just want to make this easier and make him go into the struggle zone, pretty much. That was the safest thing. So, as you can see, pretty much the Chesnaught set here is more defensive, so it's made to take a lot of physical attacks, and this one more so can probably take a few good physically super effective attacks on the physical side. Give it about nearly 100 in its special defense, so it's enough to take like Hydro Pump, Specs Hydro Pump from like Rotom Wash fairly well. And, you know, several other special attacks, but not too many, since you still want to be worried about that. So it's good to have other special defensive walls like Tyranitar and whatnot. So here I'm going to switch into Garchomp's Earthquake. I wasn't expecting it to have Flamethrower, but I did switch just to scout if he was Scarfed, which is why I switched out Gengar, and also wasn't sure if the Shadow Ball might kill it. So here I'm just going to go for the obvious play rough of the Azumarill. I could have Waterfalled, but wasn't sure, since I made a few obvious plays, if he was, it might have been expecting me to overpredict or something. So here I'm going to make a double switch into Azumarill, expecting him to bring back his Garchomp, and now I'm going to go for the Waterfall, since it's pretty much kill range either way, but he's still afraid of the play rough, so he's going to switch into Gengar here. nicely done, I have to say. He's not focus sash, which makes me think he's probably holding Black Sludge or the Gengarite, as my Gengar had. Considering he didn't have any other Mega Pokemon, so I'm just assuming that there. He's gonna Belly Drum here, predicting my switch, but no, I'm gonna predict that nicely, stay in and go for the Waterfall. I was a little bit afraid of Belly Drum in any case, since my entire team would have been swept if I had not stayed in and given it the damage I did. Since right here it's Aqua Jet's killable range, so I can just take it out with Choice Banded Aqua Jet, since, if I didn't mention before, my Azumarill is actually Choice Banded, which is why I had to switch out a few times when I did. Was a little bit surprised at Scissor Roost, that I think that could have stalled out the play roughs and gotten its health energy back. So here's going to be another stall war with flinch hacks, which is going to end up in me getting at least 6 flinches in a row, which is crazy, as you can see. This is just kind of annoying. Makes me want to put leftovers and Tyranitar, but this is actually not such a bad strategy on his part, considering Sandstorm only lasts 5 turns anyway, so it's viable enough in any case. So he can just keep doing that until the sand ends. And I'm guessing he's either Scarfed, well actually he's not Scarfed, he has leftovers, but I guess he's just doing that since he doesn't have Aura Spear or Dazzling Gleam, so otherwise I'm sure he would have just did that naturally. Either that or he's trying to luckily gain some stats since at the end here, and this was surprising, surviving at 1 HP and getting the Ice Beam off at that exact timing. That's just, that's crazy. Kind of hilarious thinking about it, but he's gonna go for the Ancient Power here, which is why I said I'm guessing he was either playing lucky and trying to gain some stats with that, which didn't work out for him if he was trying to do that. So here I'm going to hit it with a Shadow Ball, since Togekiss is no longer a normal type. Haha, it's a fairy type now, so I just wanted to put a big lull in Togekiss's face. And yeah, so just gonna take out the rest of his team with Shadow Ball, and that's going to be the game. Pretty good game, and yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for the description. Look at that, Choice Banded Bullet Punch. Barely survived. Wow.
Alright, so here we have our second Chesnaught set here, which is a more defensive variation. A little more bulkier compared to the first one, but not quite all in the physical defense. Essentially, it is a basically defensive Chesnaught that has a little bit of split into the special defense, but I'll get into that in a moment. So essentially, the EV spread is a full 252 in HP, just like the previous one, to give it maximum bulk in HP, and it has 128 effort-wise in physical defense, and 130 in special defense. So now getting to that fact, and before that, once again, it has the Bulletproof ability to block it from a few of the ball and bomb type moves, mostly in the special attack arena. So that definitely is helpful to Chesnaught quite a bit, so it can stay in and set up on those Pokemon. And those Pokemon actually include Venusaur, as and I include Venusaur as the big one, since Venusaur is a grass type. And if it can't hit you with a Sludge Bomb, it's basically going to be relying on a lot of attacks that really aren't going to be doing that much damage, other than Choice Specs, Leaf Storm, and even so you can just recover that off with Synthesis or something. So essentially, having an ability like that, it's quite handy to have against several other grass types, I would say. Not to mention that you can't use Spore on grass types in this gen, so that's another excellent case for Chesnaught here. So it covers a lot of niches and is definitely great in the sense of bulk. Not to mention it's a grass fighting type, so it gives it a dual resist against ground and rock types, which are fairly common dual types, or dual type attack combos. Well, other than the tertiary ice, which you might want to switch out depending on who's using it. But other than that, we'll get to the set here, which is Hammer Arm, Spike, Synthesis, Roar. Now, going over this, basically, this Pokemon is essentially made to set up. And, of course, the Wood Hammer is your mainline physical attack. Over here, it's a 120 base. Definitely the best, about the best grass type attack in the game, other than, you know, the recoil thing here. But, I mean, it's not really a big deal, because you have a Synthesis to recover that off if necessary. And, well, as you notice, I haven't maximized my power points, but essentially would normally have 8 power points, which is not so bad. And Synthesis is actually a little bit better in this gen. I'll get to that momentarily. But now we have, secondary, we have Spikes here. So basically, the more of this move that you use to set up, the more damage you'll be doing against your opponent. And the maximum is 3, so you want to get up those 3 as quick as possible, and if you can get those up, you're going to be at a hefty advantage against your ground-based foes, so to speak. I don't mean ground types, anything that isn't a flying type or has levitate will be hit by spikes, so that's excellent. And you can even supplement that with gravity if you want to hit some other flying types or whatever. So now getting to the next move, Synthesis. Like I said, it got a little bit of a buff in this gen, considering that weather is now nerfed, considering. So any Pokemon that wants to switch in and set up a weather only lasts for 5 turns in general, so there's no more infinite weather, so essentially rain and sand will end 5 turns, and Synthesis will no longer be as crappy of a move as it used to be, so now it's slightly usable. So hence, this will be your mainline recovery move. I mean, other than, trying to use rest, but this is better because you can recover off and keep setting up the spikes. And last but not least, you have Roar to Phase, which essentially allows you to, well, roar things out basically, and cause some more entry hazard damage and all that good stuff. So it definitely goes very well with spikes and any other Pokemon that you have as Stealth Rocks or whatever. As you saw in the battle, I had Tyranitar use Stealth Rocks, so you can complement it with a similar Pokemon that's bulky enough to switch in and use Stealth Rocks or whatever, and just switch back in to a Chesnaught later on and do some roaring and all that good stuff. So basically, this is what it does best here, and it's probably the majority of Chesnaught sets that you'll be seeing are the bulkier spikes setup variations. So yeah, and last but not least, the item here is Leftovers, which is fairly common on any bulky Pokemon. So pretty much the best item next to Rocky Helmet, or I guess a Lumber if you want to go a little crazy, but yep, so anyways, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the battle video set here, and I will be having more coming soon, hopefully. If not, I'll leave a notification, but hopefully I'll be getting to put up some more battle sets up here. So anyways, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.